I think we're going to get started because we've been kind of holding here at about 53 or 54 attendees. So um, I want to kind of honor your time because I know how precious it is right now. But thank you. Thanks for taking a little bit of time this afternoon or this evening to join me, to catch up, to see what it is that we're doing and how you're doing, and to kind of list any questions that are coming up as we all go through this horrible, horrible experience for the first time together. And I'm still so glad that we are together for it. That makes it quite a bit more manageable, at least in the moment. So thank you. I'm going to take you through a little bit of what we can do tonight. And really, I'm looking at less than 30 minutes, honestly, less than 30 minutes, just so you have a sense of how long we'll be together. And I'm going to take my face off as soon as I can because I've learned that I don't like my Zoom face in the last 4 weeks. Um, so I know everybody's kind of rolling in, kind of on their own and kind of under their own schedules, but it's always kind of good to acknowledge just how unbelievably weird uh, this new experience is for us, and how everybody is probably managing this in different ways and kind of finding what our personal space is and our personal time. So I hope that this isn't your personal space or time. And if you need your kids to leave you alone after, just keep your headphones on and keep looking at the screen and telling them that the webinar is still going, and I have no problem with that. Um, Real briefly, what we want to do is go through kind of maybe how we're going to work these meetings and what they're going to look like. It comes with a bit of a caveat that this is my first time not going to the Zoom meetings or doing Zoom meetings, but doing a webinar. Um, and so I'm learning, and I might be talking only to myself right now and to nobody else. But um, as I learn, we will get better, and we'll learn how to use more functions of the webinar. And I'll say a little bit more about webinar in a minute. We're going to record these sessions, I think, just out of an understanding that everybody is not able to always be on at the same time, and I hope to forward them as soon as I'm able after, so that if you are interested in watching them again, or you want to ask another question, it gives you a chance to see what we've covered. Like I said, roughly about 30 minutes. I think we'll go less than that. The Q&A is enabled. I don't know necessarily what that means, except for the idea is that you're able to use this format, the Q&A format, to ask questions. And I'm going to be seeing whether or not those come up to me on my screen as well. And if I lose track of the questions that are being answered, these are all recorded. I'll make sure that I go back, record which ones I haven't been able to pay attention to, and I'll answer them either in the next time that we talk, or I send an email and kind of update with anything that I may have missed. And bear with me on that. Um, the next time that we do this webinar, we'll do it password protected. I think we wanted to try this for the first time. I think it was me that really wanted to try this to make sure I understood how it would work. Going forward, I think just as a security measure, and it's something that we're getting more and more from Zoom, we'll include whatever kind of security steps that they've added. It's webinars are actually much more secure than open meetings. It's a good opportunity, I think, for us to control the conversation. But as we learn more, we're going to make sure that people who are invited and should be in on the meeting are the ones in on the meeting tonight. Okay, so sorry, I lost my place. Tonight we're going to go over just a handful of our wins, and there've been so many, and we're so grateful for how this has begun, but also humbled by the kind of size of it all. That we also want to kind of share the things that we know that we're losing, or that we know we're vulnerable in, and to share those with you as well, because I'm sure that they're on everyone's minds as well. We want to talk a little bit about our calendar and what it's going to mean now that Presentation School has announced that we're following most of the California schools and the state of California and their recommendations to remain closed as a school facility through the end of the year, but to continue with the school that we've been doing so well for the last 4 weeks, and to get better at it as we go. Um, what our plans are at this point thus far for the end of the school year, and really I want to kind of share with you that we're figuring these out as we go and as we need to. Some of them are things that we really want to know, but it's not as always important for us to dash off a quick decision on anything right now. And we have a bit of time to do it. So questions that relate to the end of the school year, the rituals of the school year, our closure ceremonies, anything that we do that actually reminds you that how special and unique this the school is, and what it means to our kids, and why they love coming to school. All of those things are important things to us, and we're really trying to put our heads around how we can make that meaningful for the kids, so they have some sense of closure, but also a sense that they're still connected. First things first, and this is for me been something that I feel at the beginning and end of every day more and more, is I just am so grateful, and we are so grateful for the fact that everybody hopped in, everybody understood the size of this problem, everybody understood how little we knew in common, but how helpful everybody was immediately. First, thanks, and I know that you've been sharing it too, and I hope that I continue to encourage you, if you have a moment, to send us a note to the teachers who have been managing this absolutely from day one, and learning on the job and building it as we fly. So to thank those teachers for everything that they're doing, it's really, really a remarkable effort that they jumped in. And 2 days after we said that we were closing, we were teaching again. And I know that you know how remarkable that is, and how grateful we are that we've been able to do that. I'm so thankful for everybody on my staff who still continues to do everything that we have to do as a school, without everybody being on campus at the same time. So everybody who's helping out, Shanna Rogers in the business office and helping us understand where we are in terms of our financial outlook, and all of those important things that keep the school strong. Lauren Miller has been working around the clock. Pat Tierney, Emma Rogers, Emma Evanson. Thank you. Beyond that, Beehively has been amazing. If you ever get an opportunity to thank any of the representatives from Beehively that have been helping us, they prioritized us from the very beginning. And when we knew that this was going to be faster than we thought, and possibly longer than we wanted, Beehively has been really, really, really responsive and supportive, and so helpful for us. And a lot of what's working is working because of that partnership. And so thank you. I want to give you just a brief idea. And actually, I was going to cut my face off, but now that I've started, what it is that we continue to look for in terms of the way we're making decisions with school closures, and with distance learning, and with everything that we need to keep into consideration as we're all in this new normal for the first time. We were admitted into CAIS just 3-4 weeks prior to having to begin this, and what an amazing resource it's been immediately to be a part of this consortium. CAIS meets in multiple divisions daily, twice weekly with heads, to discuss the things that independent schools are sharing, learning, and also to kind of share kind of our remarkable sense of gratitude for what we share together. And we're using CIS more and more already. NAIS, the national office, ISM has great resources for us that help us in terms of our own enrollment and financial planning. Jaffe Emergency Services is a group that we've been working with already for the past 2 years in terms of our own emergency planning. And Jaffe um, has been taking us through what we've been connected to, which is a pandemic response plan all along. And it was just one more thing that we hadn't thought that we would need to do something with. The Small Business Administration will say more about that. And then the Centers for Disease Control and the state of California. We're following as much new information as we possibly can to keep everybody as informed as you need to be, but also as focused as we can be as a school, in that we still have a job to do, and how it is that we can do that job best under these circumstances. Here's a little bit of what's been interesting about this. All of a sudden, attendance has been near perfect. And those of us who struggle mightily in the mornings continue to, but we don't see it in the same way. But thank you for making every effort to be a part of all of the organized team meetings that are happening twice daily in person, with homeroom meetings, science, math, language arts. They continue still at pace. And an anecdote, interestingly, with a handful of the teachers that I've asked, they say that they're moving faster than they normally would have. And that's not our goal. It's just one of those things that we're paying attention to, and it's interesting to see. So not only are we delivering the education the way that we hope we best can under these circumstances, it actually is kind of keeping pace with where we would be if we were together. So that's really been a really interesting thing to learn. On top of it, reading, writing, and arithmetic are obviously all of our focal points. However, what makes the school so rich and makes us available to do so many things for kids is because we know that they need so many more things than just math and reading and social studies. So the effort that Spanish has been putting in art, music, PE, social emotional learning and counseling, Spark has continued to be scheduled. All of these are scheduled intermittently, and we're doing everything that we can do to make sure that your kids feel that we're paying attention to that entire student in them, and that we care about all those parts of them enough to make sure that we're there in all of those places as well. So for our specialized teachers, they've been doing a lot of great work, and so appreciate everything that they're trying right now as well. I asked if this was appropriate to share. I just love it. I think one of the things that tonight's meeting is a bit about is to talk about all of the pressures that we didn't know that we had just 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. What we're hearing kind of from you and what we're hearing from teachers pretty regularly is just how incredibly hard this is, and how few opportunities for relief and release there are for everyone. And I think it's worth noting that that is something that I've not talked to anybody who hasn't felt that same pressure and that same worry, and a sense that their stamina is not what we thought it was. But I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to remember that we are all experiencing this for the first time. This is difficult for everybody, and there's a lot of room for you to struggle with it. And we've given each other a lot of room to make sure that kids can continue being kids can continue going to school, but that we recognize kind of that this hasn't happened before, that we've experienced, and we need to be patient with each other. We've heard again and again and again, and I feel this desperately, a need for a digital detox, and we're going to be honoring that in this week ahead in our spring break, and certainly hope you'll participate where you can with us on that. But to be on screen and to be connected to our devices from morning until we fall asleep is something that I think is scrambling all of us, and we want to be careful about that. We want to be thoughtful. We're hearing from you, and we really have so appreciated hearing anything that you've said that's been um, constructive for us. Even when it's been hard, you've been constructive and understanding that we're doing something that we had not known that we would do a while ago, and that we're so grateful that we're able to do it in this way. And I want to kind of say that it's been on my mind that one of the things that's made a lot of this possible is that you know, 6 years ago, the school, the board of trustees, Og was the chair of the board at the time, said that it was important that we put our boats in the water in terms of our technology, in terms of making sure that we had what we needed for kids to be relevant in their work. How gratifying it is to find out, and I know that this applies more for third through eighth grade, clearly, to find out that what we've been saying about the way we use technology and the reason for technology at the school is to help us do our work, and to do it with some creativity and with some flexibility. So to find ourselves in this situation where we're having to use it in ways that we hadn't anticipated, but that we're able to, and that the kids are adept and the teachers are willing and able, and they're already using so many of these platforms. It's just been really a remarkable thing, and we're grateful that we started when we did. I think we're beneficiaries of those decisions, and I, for one, am thrilled at, in terms of especially 3 through 8, uh, what this has meant. With that being said, we'll say a little bit more soon here about, we know that K through 2 is a really difficult, or different, certainly different, yes, difficult thing as well, and that the technology was held back in those grades for very deliberate reasons that have to do with children's development, and that makes it all the more challenging when we're in this situation to try to get kids to be able to kind of understand how they could do their schoolwork on an online format. And it's very different for them, and it's a lot harder for those parents of kids that are kindergarten through second grade. Hands down, you are co-teachers in this, and we know that's a lot harder for you. And so we're learning about what ways we can do um, differently with that, but also provide your kids with the same consistency that we plan to give them anyway. And we're really first organizing this around the kids and making sure that they have their learning in place. And we understand where it becomes challenging for you, and we can keep working together on ways to make that work for you personally. Our pressures on parents, they're different. We hear that very different things from each of you. Everybody's family is in a really different pressure point right now, and your own economies are changing, and there's all kinds of unknowns for you as well. So we appreciate also all that you're personally juggling while you're being asked to be your kids' teachers, short order cooks, um, primary caregivers, and we recognize that comes with a ton of extra stress for you, and hope you'll let us know if there's ways that we can kind of help you with that. I love this this cartoon, because also I think it's a little bit, I identify with the dog and the guy at different times in this, and part of it is for us mostly to pay attention to the relaxed piece. This is stressful and new and different for everybody, and we've got a great jump start on it. All of our most consequential questions we will answer, and we've got time to answer that, and we want to be able to do it in a way that's intelligent. It doesn't ask us to backtrack. We only move forward when we make those decisions. So everything that's happening can be replicated, can be resent. Your kids can drop offline for a while. You can drop offline for a while, and we'll catch up. And it will be perfectly fine. I want to share, this is a really good reference. And when I send this to you in an email later, I'll make sure that I put the link in. But it's a really good reference from the New York Times. Jessica Gross wrote this real brief article, 4 ways to help your anxious kid. And I think I send that for everybody because for those of us who know and have anxious kids all along, we all have anxious kids now. And I also think that it kind of speaks to the difficulty of being an anxious kid ourselves and parenting at this time. So I'll forward that to you, and I hope that maybe you'll have a chance to read it. So I'm going to run through the questions that we've received kind of so far, and give you a little bit of an understanding of what we're tracking on these, and tell you where we haven't come up with any decisions, which is on most of them. And I'll kind of go through these. I'll try to get as many questions that are coming up from the Q&A as I can. Those that I don't cover now, like I said, I'll reformat them, I'll share them, and we'll either answer them next time or in a follow-up email. So obvious questions come to mind when we announced that we weren't largely going to be back into onto campus for the rest of the year. It flipped a different switch for all of us, because I think for most of us, we are still operating on this kind of muscle memory that is maybe based on the fires, or maybe based on anything else that we've had to get used to when we have to kind of close school for a while, was that certainly there's an end to this. And we know that there's an end to this, but we made this decision really kind of in keeping with the state of the state of the state, and the state of the world, and what we're being encouraged to do to make sure that we can move through this this virus at the same time, and still keep our pace, and still keep doing everything that we know we need to do. So what that necessitated was saying that we're not coming back this school year. That's a horrible thing to have to talk about. Partly because it just is shocking to think that we're not going to see the kids again anytime in the next few weeks. And that's really the worst part of it all. Things like graduation, our move up ceremony, field experiences, trips, field trips, things like that. We don't know yet how we want to handle those. Most are canceled. Some are kind of postponed or going to be refashioned. Graduation, we will absolutely graduate our incredible 8th grade class, who has been remarkable all along in all of this, and are a tremendous class. And we want to make sure that we honor who they are and what they've done, and recognize kind of this moment for them, as well as kind of our kids' transitions from one class to another. We'll be coming up with more answers about those things as we go along. I had a couple of good questions about Zoom security. We all are following the same updates in terms of concerns about people who are able to join or jump into calls, Zoom calls that are insecure. One of the things that I can say is Zoom has been really quick, in my mind, about addressing some of the most immediate concerns, and that was first addressing all of the schools that had jumped on to their platform, making it so that we had to go through extra layers of passwords to do this. We are benefited quite a bit in being a small school, in being able to know and control our meetings in that way. But as we learn about any kind of additional concerns or anything like that, we will address them. And please let us know if you have had an experience that felt inadequate, or something that you want to know more about. We want to make sure that you feel that we're using a secure channel here. And with that being said, we're so grateful for Zoom and this technology right now, because part of what they're having to catch up on the security end right now is because their user friendliness was so immediately applicable to the moment. And Zoom has been really an incredible service, and we're getting a lot out of it. This is a great question. Are we going to continue with the ERBs, which is our, from third grade and up, our all school testing? The answer is yes, partly because we absolutely can, and partly because we really want this information. We really want this data. We know that ERBs this year will be with an asterisk, but this will be our third year in that. And so we really want to find a trend, and 2 years isn't enough. We'll be able to have enough time because we're going to plan them out, space them out over May 15th, May 11th through the 15th. And we'll be able to space those for the kids so that they have enough time to understand what is required, that you have enough time to understand what is required of parents. But we don't want to squander this moment. We know that there's a lot of stress and that everything is upside down right now. And yet we really want to see how our kids are doing, what they're learning, and be able to use that going forward. It's really important to us. And the stakes for the kids in ERBs are low stakes. These aren't shared out. These don't follow them in any public way. This is an important snapshot for the school to understand what we're doing well, and then where are the places that we just need to backfill and do more. And so those ERBs are really important to us. We hope that you'll be super supportive of our effort to do them. They're completely online, in that last year and the year before, we did them online as well. And it worked just fine. So we'll work out kind of the technical questions, and we'll share more with you. The classes will practice, and ERBs will go forward. I had a question about what our experience has been, or how we've been involved, or have we been involved with the federal stimulus package. And the answer is absolutely yes. And we have already applied as a school. We were really at the front of the line. And we will see what that means for us. But our impetus for doing this was that it was a federal plan to support us keeping all of our teachers and staff on the payroll, still working for us, and moving us forward so that when this is past us, we are in front. And it's an incredible opportunity. We don't know what the outcome is on that yet, but we have applied, and we will share that with the finance committee and the board when we know, and the board can then share out as they know as well. Faculty parent calendar requests. You might be surprised that we get a handful of individual requests from time to time from parents and faculty who wish that our calendar did one thing or another. I want to kind of tell you the one that we are paying more attention to, and really kind of feeling like there's good reason for it. With the end of the school year being truncated, and with us not having our end of school field trips, our graduation experiences, our liturgies, all of those things that we're going to have to move into another format, another space. Our intention is to see if we can end the school year on May 29th. Which is actually the end of the academic year as is. And those last 2.5 days that we had scheduled, you'll remember, are days that we make up in wonderful things that right now we're not able to do in the same way. The talent shows, splash day, move up ceremony, graduation. It's a celebratory experience at the end of the year. And in some ways, we're doing so well with our online education and our distance learning, that we're going to look at making the recommendation that we end on May 29th instead of midweek the next week. But I'll let you know, and I'm sure you'll let me know too. This was a question that I have been thinking about over and over, and I don't really quite know how to answer it. And that is that none of us really actually anticipated being here 4 weeks ago in this same way. And all of us continue to be somewhat jaw-dropped and surprised by the length of this. The question, is whether or not, if this shelter in place, which is the wrong way to say it, I understand, or the social distancing continues, and schools need to remain kind of in the same distance learning format, what would we need to extend this into the fall? The the short answer is I don't exactly know what we would need, but what we're learning is that it would be a matter of several things. One, um, there are Zoom capabilities that are in these webinar formats that are much more robust and much more controllable for teachers, and might give teachers more flexibility in the way that they deliver online instruction. And so one thing would be to look at what we can allocate for extending webinar uh, licenses for the entire school or faculty. Right now, um, we aren't, and we don't need to yet. And so that's just one thing to kind of note. One thing that we would need to continue feeling as flexible and as curious about the curriculum that is being generated all the time, and that we've been involved with before, but maybe more in an analog or paper format that has online capabilities that are actually probably maybe more appropriate in certain ways. What are these things that we're learning about delivering instruction that this lends itself well to? And that would be something that we would have to really plumb our teachers for. They would have the best insight into that. So in terms of what we would need if we extend into the fall, strangely enough, if we had to keep going the way that we are going, and that would be difficult only because we all want it to be over with, we would still be able to do very good, solid work, and to be able to move kids along class to class, even if we needed to, in this way. So we'll know more as we go. But it's a great question, something to keep in mind. I can't wait for the point where we're past all of this and we can start really gathering all of these things that we're learning, and make some really thoughtful decisions about what this made available to us, and what we learned, and what ideas this has brought up for educators and for teachers and parents as well. Um, the next question has to do with, we had announced that, and I was really grateful that the board okayed to increase financial assistance in our yearly budget, and we did. And true to our expectation, financial aid requests are up. We know that so many are in really precarious positions right now with their own work, and with their own financial futures, and we recognize that, and we're trying to balance that alongside our own, small household budget as well, so that we can keep our community together, that we keep growing, and then we will trim where we have to. And of course, we're going to come through this, but it'll require us to be frugal. It'll require us to make choices for the time being that are appropriate to the choices that everybody else is having to make too. Um, and a lot of that will kind of be dependent on how we continue to do with our ability to attract our own students and new students. And so I had a couple of questions about kind of where we are in enrollment, and where I don't really feel like um, I have enough immediately to share exact numbers. What we are experiencing is what we're learning from all of our peer schools, NAIS, CAIS, that they're seeing a hesitancy on the part of new families, new students. This year we had a tremendous re-enrollment of 93%. Again, and last year was 95%. Those are really amazing numbers from families who are continuing to stay with us. That's still our most important metric. But right now, we have offers out to numerous new students whose families are new to this experience, and we're working with them to kind of see whether or not this is something that they can do. But we're also trying to be respectful of their uncertainty as well. So about 10% so far is what we're seeing in where we would be at this point last year, about a 10% decrease so far, and those are in the new students. So I encourage you to continue talking to your friends who are looking for a school that is a good fit for them, so that we continue to keep this school strong by bringing people who understand the opportunity and the value of it as well. And you're the best people to talk to that. The head of school transition. How are we doing with our transition between myself and Jackie Gallo? Jackie's joining this call. She's not going to come on, but she's been listening. Jackie and I have had, I've had the privilege of being able to talk to Jackie over the past few weeks. We're talking regularly. We are continuing with our same head of school transition plan. If anything, this gives Jackie and I a little bit more of an open way to start working together in that transition. So we're working really hand in hand. I'm making sure that Jackie's aware of all the things that we've got coming up. And I can say that I've so enjoyed kind of her inputs in all of this. And I know that she's anxious to get here and dig in with us as well. But Jackie and I continue to meet and talk, and we'll find another webinar opportunity where Jackie can join us a little bit too. And we'll also find the next opportunity where I can ask John Sebastiani or another board member also to have a chance to chime in as well. Okay, with that, I know that there are a handful of questions. Let me see if I can you know, questions, no questions so far that I'm seeing. I see a lot of, explain what CAIS is. California Association of Independent Schools. That is um, the national and state kind of accreditation body for independent schools in the area that we just started our membership with, and we'll do our next accreditation through. That's CAIS, and we really kind of follow their guidance on it. I don't see any questions, and I don't even see any insults. So I think that we should probably pause it there. And the questions that do show up, as you have them, please, our teachers, I am telling them not to pick up their phones. I'm asking them not to answer their emails for a week, starting after our little service tomorrow. And I know that you can understand that. I think everybody just needs a chance to rest and sleep and think and kind of dream about how they're going to do this next part. But I can tell you that on the other end of that, our teachers have been so unbelievably open to this moment and to working together and figuring out best ways to get through this, and best ways to really wring the most out of this that we possibly can, because there's so much learning that's possible right now. And they've been remarkable. And I know that just a little bit of a break for them will rejuvenate them, will give them a chance to talk to each other, to think about things that they want to try a little differently, maybe something that they want to modify or drop or add. So this time is really generative for that. And I know that you feel that way too. So we'll also leave you alone next week as well. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., we're meeting for the Stations of the Cross. The third grade class has put this together. We're always so grateful for Melissa Yazzolino and the third graders who take us through, this reminder of where we actually are in time and in liturgical time as well. So we hope that tomorrow's Good Friday leads into a wonderful Easter and a time for everybody to relax. Please, if you need to contact me, do send me an email. and I'll be working next week, um, at least checking emails. And if there's something you need, please don't hesitate. So with that, I will forward the questions that came up since, but I completely appreciate your time. We'll get better at these, and give your kids a great big hug for them, and tell them that we love them. Talk to you soon.